All right, good day, Introduction to Management students. I'm Dr. Quentin Sasnett. I've been asked by the course director to provide some talking points regarding leading organizations. You have probably all been told at one time or another you are all leaders in your own right. And by and large, I won't say that this is incorrect. This is actually pretty true. But have you ever questioned yourself, just how am I a leader in my organization? I know there are times when some of you have probably thought you had this guy, Bill Lumberg from the movie Office Space, as your boss or supervisor. I promise not all leaders emulate this guy. But there are some that are kind of questionable at times. So today we're going to engage in some talking points about leading organizations both as a leader as well as a subordinate. And being a leader or a subordinate in an organization really kind of has similar traits. So this is what we're going to discuss today for today's brief presentation. And in the end, I trust that you'll find that your leadership is actually really very much so valued by your organizational leadership. So some of the things we're going to talk about is mission and people, and we're going to try to put it together so that you can end up with success in the end. So first off, the Air Force will tell you that mission takes priority. Whether you wear a uniform or not, you know, that sort of is a central theme. Mission takes priority. There is oftentimes a number of central themes, and oftentimes we can get bogged down by what the priority really is, especially in some of those organizations where the priority is sometimes a moving target. But if, as a subordinate, you focus on the mission 99% of the time, you will hit your mark. You will have mission success. As an organization that is either a direct combatant or one that supports war fighters, we have to understand that mission is what makes the wheels go round. So many of you have probably been asked to participate in goal-setting sessions or some other improvement event where the leadership wants to focus or refocus on or needs to shift the focus of the unit altogether. If you have not, then I really encourage you to get involved and find a way to do so, because it really is a good way to understand more about what your organization is doing and how they're accomplishing the mission. You may not feel like you have anything to contribute, but oftentimes leaders need someone to ask the critical questions. And oftentimes that critical question is something as simple as why. Why are we focused on the mission of X, Y, and Z? Why is the unit changing missions? Why are we doing X or A, B, and C when it doesn't really mesh with our mission of X, Y, and Z? You see, sometimes it's the one who doesn't seem to understand the mission that brings about the changes of an organization. They ask the critical question of why. Then the leaders have to question why themselves. Why is it done this way? Why is that important, but focuses on mission needs? If it's unimportant but focuses on mission needs, then why are we doing it? Or if this over here is super important, but the leaders realize that it has little to no bearing on the mission accomplishment. So let's put this into an analogy. There's a fable about a king who had to have the finest clothes, had to wear them to show his constituents how wonderful he was. One day there were two tailors who promised to make him the finest ceremonial uniform for an event. The cloth was made from an invisible thread, and it was invisible specifically to those who were unfit for their positions, incompetent, or stupid. In reality, the two tailors really made no clothes at all, making everyone believe that the clothes are invisible to them. So when the emperor parades in front of his people in his new clothes, no one dares say that they don't see the suit on him for fear that they would be seen as stupid. But in the end, the one who finally speaks up is a child. Reference back to what I said earlier, somebody who doesn't understand what he sees or should see, and says, but he isn't wearing anything at all. So I say all of that to say this. In order for us to have the greatest Air Force in the world, we have to ask the hard questions to our leaders, and then when you get the answers, then you take steps to strive and make that mission happen with everything that you have. But that mission is really nothing without someone to execute it. So the Air Force really needs people. So as you can imagine, the Air Force would be little to nothing without people to fly our planes, fix the planes, or process the pay, or maintain the lodging or cook the meals. In essence, just because you are not dropping bombs on bad guys doesn't mean that you're not part of the grand plan. The powers that be know without the people, the powers that be, they really do understand that without the people, the greatest Air Force in the world would be a bunch of lawn darts. But as a leader of an organization, you have to look to the people to accomplish the mission. As a fighting force, the people make the mission happen. And therefore, people really become our greatest asset. So you can also make the correlation that the people make the mission happen. Therefore, if you take care of the people, then they in turn take care of the mission. This is important because the service is not comprised of a bunch of robots. However, we do have autonomous flight that has been taking place over years, but there's still a human element. In order to be effective as a service, we need people to fix airplanes, to process pay, to cook food, fix heaters and air conditioners, etc. So let's put it together. Up to this point, we've established that you can't get the mission done without the people, but the people exist for the mission. So how do you put it together? In order to strive for success, you need balance. There are those in the units that do very little to contribute to the overall effectiveness of that unit. They spend most of their day wandering the halls, chatting over the water cooler, taking extra long lunch breaks, whatever it may be. And I'll provide this example. I know of an individual in a previous organization that I worked in that would come in at work at 7 a.m. I would say, get started before the boss gets there and get warmed up for the day. He would go outside and smoke for about 20 minutes on average every hour. And says he would work through lunch, but in reality, he just smoked longer and ate his sandwich at his desk. But then around 2 p.m., he would say he had done his work and then leave. Now, in this example, he was not living up to the expectations for him to be at work for 8 hours and for the Air Force to get 8 hours worth of work out of him. He would quickly chastise his people that didn't stay at work until they fulfilled their 8-hour commitment. But what does that speak of his actions? Dare I tell you that he was actually my supervisor at one point? Needless to say, he was not good for the organization, and the success of the organization and very important missions that he was responsible for relied on his leadership and capabilities, and he fell through. So success was eluding that organization at every turn because he undermined his own success. So how do we get to success? You can read a myriad of different textbooks, articles, journals, whatever, about leadership. All of it is mostly the same. It's regurgitated in different forms to use the newest buzzwords in the industry. They all say the same thing. There are probably as many leadership styles out there as there are leaders, which right now I would dare say is a lot. Everyone is different. Every style is different. Every environment is different. Every mission is different. But if you start with the mission, like I said earlier, you seldom can go wrong. Write down your mission. If you don't know what that mission is, look to the next echelon up. If you're at the flight level and don't know what your mission is, look to your squadron. If they don't have one, then go up one more. Keep going until you find a mission set you can identify with. Then apply it to the organization you work in. Look to your job to see how it contributes to that mission. Every wing has a mission. The subordinate groups usually have one as a subset of that, and the same for the squadron. But it's critical to know how your organization and people fit into that construct. Focus on your mission, and let that be the driving factor to deviate from. Trust is easy to lose and difficult to gain. So in your dealings, do it honorably and with the best of intentions. If you have to divert from a previously agreed upon path, explain it. Your people will express their hate and discontent, but if you communicate the reasons you changed your mind, changed course, or whatever, then they will be more likely to regain trust in you. When you make the course changes and didn't want to tell anyone, then you look sneaky and potentially undermining the people. So really, trust and communication go hand in hand. But keep focused on the mission. Be accommodating to your people. There will always be extenuating circumstances. And those are the outliers from the norm, where the human factor and human element comes in. It may be that someone needs more time to get their work product turned in because they have a sick child at home, they didn't get much sleep, Accommodate them if the mission allows it. Maybe they were handed a more important task by someone higher than you. Just accommodate them and ask if they need help. But hold people accountable. Accountability is different than responsibility. If someone is responsible for the product but don't deliver as promised, then hold them accountable for not getting it turned in on time. Maybe they have to stay late to turn it in. Or maybe they get a different tasker that highlights how when they don't do their job or do their work, there are ripple effects. Those second and third order effects that make more work for someone else. In the end, I wish there were some sort of prescription to leading an organization. I wish there were some magic formula for everyone. I promise you, if there were, everyone would be doing it. But I will say, before I close, I will say this. Without you and what you do, your flight chief can't get their job done. Without you, your squadron commander can't get their job done. Without you, your group commander can't get their job done. Without you, your wing commander can't get their job done. Without you, your numbered Air Force commander or center director can't get their job done. And in turn, without you, your MAGCOM can't get their job done, and the Air Force can't get their job done. Without you, your country becomes less effective and less secure. Now no one can get their job done. So it's important to understand how you are critical as a cog in this machine called the Air Force to the daily dealings and operations. So I want to say thank you for your time and attention. Thank you for your service and what you do that contributes to this organization. That is the greatest Air Force in the world. And as I close, I just want to say good luck with the remainder of the course. Continue to press on and stay motivated to be better for yourself and for your family and your community. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.